Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Holly Pritchard, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Tamazin Crocker. We warmly welcome the family of Private John Albert Hennessy, whose story will be told shortly. We warmly welcome the delegation from Canberra Legacy and one recruit training unit from the Royal Australian Air Force visiting from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Tulua State High School visiting from South Gladstone, Queensland. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students and those who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private John Albert Hennessy. John Albert Hennessy was born in May 1886 in the small town of Nymagee, west of Dubbo, New South Wales. He was the fifth of 7 children born to Anne and Martin Hennessy, one of whom died in infancy. Jack, as he was known, attended St. Joseph's Convent School in Nymagee. He and his brothers trained horses before Jack moved to Sydney, where he worked as a tram conductor. In August 1914, Britain declared war on Germany after Germany had invaded neutral Belgium. Hennessy served for 6 months in the local militia unit, and in December 1915, he volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force. Early in 1916, Hennessy joined the newly raised 36th Australian Infantry Battalion. He trained at Liverpool Army Camp, southwest of Sydney, until May, when the 36th Battalion departed Sydney on the transport ship Beltana. The men arrived in England in July and trained at the army camps on Salisbury Plain for 4 months. Hennessy played the cornet and joined his battalion's band. Having spent time in hospital recovering from an illness in October, he and his unit sailed to France to join the fighting on the Western Front in November. The 36th Battalion was stationed in the north of France, near the border with Belgium. The winter of 1916 and 1917 was the coldest in northern France for 40 years. The men of the 36th Battalion entered the trenches early in December and had to deal with snow and freezing temperatures. In addition to the poor weather conditions, the men came under German sniper fire and artillery bombardment. Over winter and into spring, the unit spent time rotating between frontline trenches and in training behind the lines. In the summer of 1917, British commanders shifted their focus north to the Franco-Belgian border. The 36th Battalion prepared to take part in the first of the battles in this campaign, which had the German-occupied Belgian town of Messines as its objective. As the 36th Battalion marched through Plugstadt Wood, it came under a gas attack by German artillery, temporarily putting many of the men out of action. On the morning of the 7th of June 1917, British and Imperial forces attacked Messines after detonating enormous explosive charges under the German positions. During the Battle of Messines, the members of the 36th Battalion Band, including Private Jack Hennessy, were on duty as stretcher bearers. In the afternoon of the day of the battle, Hennessy was called to a trench to carry wounded soldiers back to dressing stations. Soon after he arrived, an enemy shell landed in the trench and killed him instantly. He was 31 years old. He was buried in Toronto Avenue Cemetery, Belgium. Hennessy's youngest brother also served in the AIF. Trooper Vincent Hennessy joined the 7th Australian Light Horse Regiment in 1915 and fought in the Sinai-Palestine campaign. He survived the war and returned to Australia in 1919. Private John Albert Hennessy is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private John Albert Hennessy, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff, and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.